Emerged last night out of Ipswich because we knew that Mick McCarthy was going to leave the football club at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's going.
Well, now Mick left last night. He moved on, and this follows this 1-0 win over Barnsley last night. And again, Mick came in for some flack from a section of the Ipswich support when he substituted debutant Barry Cotter. Have a listen. This was Mick post-match.
He was knackered, and I said to him at half time, he's got his socks down. I said, you tell me if you're struggling. He just let the wide player run on him twice. And of course, he wasn't going to tell me, was he? Because he wants to stay on the pitch, and then that's the art of management, knowing when to take him off. And Wardy was brilliant. That was great.
Fans is understanding as always.
Disgraceful reaction to that. Yeah. But listen, I won't have to listen to it again because that's my last game. I'll see you when I see you. I'm out of here.
That's my last game. I'll see you when I see you. Now Mick isn't going to... It's been well documented, Tony, that he's been at loggerheads, or a certain section of the support at Ipswich has been at loggerheads with Mick. That's been well documented. We're not going to talk about that in a few moments when we speak to Mick. We're going to speak to Mick McCarthy in a few moments, I hope. Because you've known Mick for years, so have I.
I know Mick. Yeah.
And Mick's going to come on. And basically, Mick's been telling me, look, what's happened. And that's it. We all move on. Mick McCarthy's an absolute pragmatist about life and in football too. So he's going to move on. He's going to stay in the game. That's the good news. So let's not dwell too much on what's happened here.
No.
But let's just find out how Mick is doing today.
Well, I know Mick for long years. I've known Mick since probably 1985 around.
Right.
Mick's been a manager since probably around 92 because he ended up joining Millwall and became a manager. He's been a manager for a hell of a long time. So he's doing something right.
Sure is.
To be in football where sacking and failure is just, it's full of failure, isn't it, football?
Yeah.
Management, but it's one of the impossible jobs. Mick's done brilliantly well. And I think he should be very proud of his Ipswich experience, personally.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of good in there. Playoffs, some good sides, competing against teams that are impossible to compete against, with the finances they have. So,
yes.
Hey, it's a difficult one.
You're right. Okay, stay with us. We're looking at the Ipswich Town situation in a second. Stay with us.
Jim White on talkSPORT with Wicks.
Ipswich last night, another win for Ipswich Town. They're mid-table. They beat Barnsley by a single goal to 0. But that's not the whole story because a man, Tony, you and I know very well, Mick McCarthy. Mick had said what his intentions were, that he was going to part company with the football club at the end of the season. But then it was something of a surprise last night. Mick suddenly announced that he was out of there and that he was leaving there and then. And Mick has left the football club. He's been keeping something of a low profile. But not low enough. Mick McCarthy, good morning to you.
Well, maybe he's kept a...
Hello, Mick. Hello, Mick. Good morning.
I could have a go doing the voice if you want, Jim, but I don't think they'd go for it.
Hello, Mick. Mick is with us. I know he is. The boys are going to try and get him back.
He's already put the phone down, Jim. What did you say?
What did you say? What have you done now? How have you wound Mick
I
up?
spoke to Mick about 5 minutes ago and he said, I'll be with you in 5 minutes. It is disappointing. Basically, hi, Mick, it's Jim.
Hello, Jim. How you doing?
There he is. Mick, good morning. How are you? What have you been up to this morning?
I've been keeping a low profile, mate.
Well, listen, you surprised many last night by deciding that's it, and there and then you've left the club. So just confirm to us, you have now left the football club.
I have, yes. No, I didn't decide just last night. I decided over the weekend. So I agreed with Marcus that I'd take the Barnsley game, and I was going.
Oh, so you decided last weekend. All right, Mick, we're not going to get... You and I were talking off mic, if you like. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty. We know that a small section of the support and yourself just didn't seem to see eye to eye, and that's that. But these things happen in football, and I was saying earlier on, Mick, you're a complete pragmatist. You even accept that this kind of thing happens, and it goes part and parcel with the modern game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've been there for 5.5 years. I've booked the trend by about 5 times the normal amount in the Championship. So I said before, I think they get a bit bored with the same face anyway. So no matter how you're doing, so let somebody else have a go at it. That's I'm cool with it. And I'm a pragmatist. It does happen. Maybe it's time to move on. And I'm excited by what might be out there. Fresh challenge.
I was saying, Mick, I've known you since. I've saying I've known you since the mid-80s, and I said, and I was telling the boys off air about my first experience when I played Switzerland away, and the centre half kept nailing me, and you you looked after him for me.
Egley, I think that was Egley, wasn't it?
Yeah. I know, Mick, and I was saying that, you know. You've been in management since about 92, haven't you? You've been a manager. Yeah. And you've experienced lots of highs and lows. And it is an impossible job. And probably one of the reasons why I didn't want to ever go down that road, Mick, because I think you take so much on board. And yet, Ipswich, in some ways, comparing to what other clubs have in your division, their budgets and their transfers, is just nearly an impossible job for guys if your club can't match them.
Well, I think you'll probably find at the end of the season, Kaz, generally, the league ends up where you are budgetary. If Wolves are going to win it, and they've got the best budget. And the field booked the trend, by the way. I think Cardiff has booked the trend somewhat, and certainly Neil Harris at Millwall has done brilliant in his booking the trend. But yeah, it's the budget's and there's going to be another 3 teams that come down with 100 million. It's got harder and harder. The league is tougher, the league is better. But I do think at Ipswich we've been probably batting above average anyway. Anyway, I've left them in 12th. Above their fierce rival Norwich, and I've left them in a far better shape than what I joined, that's for certain.
So what about yourself, Mick? I mean, you've had these breaks before, and I'm sure you're looking forward to another challenge.
I am. I'm looking forward to the break first, Kaz, I have to be honest. At least a holiday somewhere with a bit of sun on my back and a bit of golf. I'm not backing it in. There was some misconception that I'm fed up with it all, and I'm tired and I'm getting old. I might be getting tired, I might be getting old, but I'm not fed up with it, and I want to get back in. I'm hungry for another job, another challenge.
Does it disappoint you, though, Mick? Because one thing, I've known you since your Celtic days, of course. You are a winner. Now, I'm sure you were enjoying that job, Mick, and something still suggests to me that you're leaving there, and it is with a large degree of regret. I'm sure it is.
Well, it's kind of come to its natural end, and it's time to go. There's definitely a breakdown in relationship with me and some of the fans, but I've had wonderful support there as well. So I'm not digging them out. I've had a fabulous time and loved every minute of it. And you know what? It does actually. All good things must come to an end, and it has been good, and I have enjoyed it. But it's time for me to do something else anyway, and it's time for the club to do something else. And I just thought there's 4 games left. I'm not making any tangible decisions anymore. And it's very hard just being out there. So it was lovely last night finishing on a win, despite the fact it was against my old club Barnsley, and it's put them in a more perilous position. But I really wanted to win that game last night.
I'm looking at Twitter as Mick's talking, Tony, and a lot of people wishing him well here this morning. Mick, there's a lot of love for you out there. Wolves fans on Twitter. Absolute legend, Mick McCarthy. His impact on our club back in the day will never be forgotten. I mean, that must make you feel great when you hear things like that, Mick.
Oh, it's lovely. It's very kind. It's nice to have that kind of support, I think. Jim, as I'm saying, I've had wonderful support here at Ipswich. I've had a great time. It just comes to an end, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice when people are saying nice things about you. I don't want to be out of the game. I want to be in the game, and I want to take the highs and the lows and all the brickbats that come with it because I enjoy it.
When it was announced a couple of weeks ago you was going to leave Ipswich at the end of the season. I think even all of us were surprised that it sounds nice and it seems like the romantic way to go, but it just hasn't panned out that way.
Exactly that, because it did sound like that, and I've tried to be, well, no, I have been my usual hard-working professional self. There's another party in this that seems to get forgot, and we've continued to do the job. It's been made harder. It's just tougher. There's something dies in me when you're not going to be there. And I said last night, it's like being caretaker manager of your own job. It's just not right. So I think it's better. And I've said it publicly. It's better that we part our ways now.
Just finally, Mick, if the right job came along tomorrow, would you take it? The right offer?
Yes, I would. I'm not just looking for any job, Jim. I want to get back into work, but I would like a challenge, of course. But I'd like an opportunity to get back in the Premier League. I think, looking back, I feel I've done by still that we just dropped into the bottom 3 at Wolves, and who knows, we might have stayed up, but I was not given that opportunity. So I'm still I'm still angling after that. I'd like to get back there. If he's getting winning playoffs or whatever it might be, I still want to do it. So yes, if the right job comes up, I'll take it.
Mick, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
It's a pleasure. Nice speaking to you. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Right.
Okay, so he's gone, and it was a surprise to many. I don't know what Ipswich fans think this morning, now that you've heard Mick McCarthy talking about it a bit more. In fact, Ipswich fans getting in touch with us in numbers now. Keith is one of them. Keith, I think you're calling us from Colchester, a big Ipswich fan. Good morning. You heard Mick there live with Tony, myself, and Bob. What do you make of it?
Yeah, good morning, boys. Yeah, I'm sad to see him go. I'm not surprised because there's a small proportion of Ipswich fans that are clueless. He took over when we were near uncertainties to go down, and he's left us in a position where we're above Leeds, Norwich, Sheffield Wednesday, Forest, Sunderland, all apparently massive clubs with massive budgets, and Mick had hardly any money whatsoever. He's done an amazing job.
Just going back, Keith, isn't it amazing when you think back that Mick McCarthy had to sell Darren Murphy for £3 million, who he brought in for, what was it, 10,000?
Yeah, that's correct. And what other manager would have attracted Waghorn and Joel Garner from Rangers to
good
Suffolk,
player.
to Suffolk?
Yeah.
They should have been in a top 6 championship striking lineup. They've done an amazing job for us. He's brought in youngsters that play well. The reaction last night to taking that player off was despicable. He knows what he's doing. He's trying to look after the player. He's a youngster. I think some of the fans, they need to be careful what they wish for. I just hope that Marcus Evans spends some money now and brings in the right manager, and I hope he brings in the Cowley brothers from Lincoln.
And I think you need to hear from Evans a bit more than you do. I think that seems to come over to me loud and clear as well.
Yeah, definitely.
No, it is. The problem isn't the manager. I love Marcus Evans. I'm really glad for his support, but he's given our managers hardly any money since Roy Keane. Since Roy Keane left, he's given us hardly anything, and you cannot compete to go into the Premiership without a bit of support financially.
Keith, listen, great call. Thank you so much. Here's Terry, another Ipswich fan in Norfolk. Terry, good morning.
Good morning. Well, the first-time caller, and I'm just completely opposite of the other lad that's just been on. I just feel like I had a weight off my shoulders now Mick's gone. Admittedly, he saved us from relegation 5 years ago. I think the year later we got in the playoffs. But since then, he's made some good purchases. But he's very negative. He doesn't play the football that Ipswich fans like to watch. And the last 2 years, it's been absolutely dire. Admittedly, he's had no money. He's bought well with the money he's been given. But if you look back in the history, I've been supporting Ipswich now, getting on 50 years. I've been through the Bobby Robson era, John Lyall, Royal, Burley. None of those managers had money to spend. None of them.
Yeah.
We've won the UEFA Cup, we've won the FA Cup, we've played attractive football under Lyall and Burley. We got into the Premiership with Burley with no money. We finished 5th in the Premier League. And, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see boring teams going out not to lose, like at Brentford on Saturday. It was Saturday. They set the stall out not to lose the game. They get a dodgy penalty against them, admittedly, and there's no plan B to then attack and win the game.
But Terry, what you don't want to be though is in Burton Albion's position or in Sunderland's position, is it?
Well,
you don't want to be. You don't want to be there, do you?
I know. But they're throwing money. Bad managers. Let's get an entertaining manager. Jim, you've not been at Ipswich the last 2 seasons and seen what I've seen. It's dire. It's almost like being at a funeral.
See
the highlights of our Tuesday night evening games are having a burger before the game and sausage and chips afterwards, and I'm not joking.
But Tony, listen, the Championship is one of the toughest leagues. It's the toughest second tier, I believe, in the world.
Of course it is.
Right?
Yeah,
Look at the teams you've got there. Look at the teams below you, and surely you must think being 12th and playing this football is better than
scrapping at the bottom. I think it is, Terry. Listen, Terry, we appreciate your call, though. And as Terry rightly says, I have not watched Ipswich in the last 2 years, and he has a point in that. But Mick is gone, and Mick wants back in the game. Would take the right job if it came along tomorrow. It was good that Mick McCarthy joined us live on the show. Stay with us.
Oh yeah.